I'm not saying anybody gets to choose if somebody's educated themselves enough to be smart. I'm not saying that, you know, it's up to the government or that that you shouldn't be able to vote. That is not what I'm saying. That's a complete misrepresentation of my point. Um, what I'm talking about is a cultural value as a society that we should encourage responsible voting. And I explained that what I think is a responsible voter, and this is what I do when I'm filling out my ballot and I get to a race where, let's say it's a local race, say it's like the local county treasurer or something, and I don't know either of those people. I've never heard of either of them. Don't know anything about them. They're just random names to me. You do not vote on that race. A responsible voter skips over that race and fills out the full ballot except for the one where they don't know the people. That is we should be encouraging as a society, as a cultural value, as a political value. We should encourage responsible voting. We should encourage, if you're going to vote, we should encourage you to, educate yourself about the policies and inform yourself about the people and the candidates and stuff like that. I'm not saying that you're banned from voting if you don't educate yourself, or you're banned from voting if you haven't informed yourself, or that we're going to set up a committee of 3 people that's going to get to choose if you've informed yourself enough to vote. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about responsible voting as a value. This is not controversial. All I'm saying is that we should encourage people to be informed when they vote. The fact that Democrats are so opposed to encouraging informed voting is, I think, kind of shocking. It's like, whoa, you're against informed voting? You don't want people to be informed when they vote? That's pretty horrible. You're literally encouraging people to just guess and to go into a voting booth and they don't know who these people are. They've never heard of either one of them, and you want them to just guess and just like make a Christmas tree out of their ballot, just randomly filling it. That's not how you get good governance. You're not going to get good results. It's randomized. You might as well just flip a coin. I mean, if you have people voting where they're literally just guessing on who the candidate is, you might as well flip a coin. And so I'm not talking about being able to vote or anybody else deciding. I'm talking about a cultural value and what we should do as a society in terms of encouraging responsible, informed voting. And I think it says a lot more about the left that they're against responsible, informed voting than it says about anybody else who actually wants responsible, informed voting. I don't disagree. You're not understanding I'm really important. Of course you have a right to make a Christmas tree out of your ballot. I didn't say that you don't. I never said that you don't have a right to make a Christmas tree out of your ballot. I really hope that you're not going around telling people, Lecture Fan says you shouldn't have a right to do this. You do have a right to do it. You should have a right to do it. I get that you have a right to do it. You have a right to do a lot of things that are stupid. It doesn't mean that as a society we should encourage it. It doesn't mean that as a society we shouldn't say that you should be an informed voter. We encourage people to be informed voters. Look, if you don't want to be an informed voter, if you want to be an ignorant voter and just make a Christmas tree out of your ballot, of course you have the right. Nobody is saying that you don't have that right. I've never once said, I've never once implied that you shouldn't have a right to be an irresponsible voter. I'm saying, as a society, we should encourage, as a cultural thing, responsible, informed voting. Nobody's talking about the rights or taking anybody. This is not a question about rights. Nobody ever brought up rights. I never once said right. This is not about rights. Nobody brought up rights. So the whole issue of a right is not at issue here. What we're talking about is encouraging informed, responsible voting. And that there's such pushback against that, I think is concerning. It's concerning to me that there's such pushback against saying that we should encourage, just as a cultural value, just as a society, we should just encourage people to be informed voters. No. You have a right to be an uninformed voter. You have a right. It's like, of course you have a right to be an uninformed voter. Pisco. Thank you, Pisco. Nobody ever said you don't have a right to be an uninformed voter. And in fact, you do have a right to be an uninformed voter. Here, I hereby declare you have a right to be an uninformed, ignorant voter. All I'm saying is that as a society and as a culture, we should encourage informed voting. And that should not be such a problem. Thank you, Pisco95. Thank you, Pisco.